And we got some stuff to talk about involving this Washington team right before their matchup against Michigan. And here's what I really want to talk about, and it's the main focal point of me making this video. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope each and every single one of you had a great and fantastic Friday, and if not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. Is there a better way to cap off your Friday night and your week with a college football video? I don't think so. There's been a lot of stuff going on in the college football world the past couple of days, and it's always like that around this time of the year. You got the playoffs going on, that's a little foreshadowing, we'll get to that in just a second. You got the transfer portal, NIL, coaches leaving, players, there's so much crap going on. And we're here to talk about it, and I meant to get to this video quicker than what I did, but there's been breaking news come out every 4 to 5 hours every single day. And right when I was getting ready to make this video, I was like, well, I guess I need to talk about this topic first, but now we're on it. And the one big topic we're going to talk about in tonight's video is no other than the Washington Huskies. No introduction needed. They're an undefeated team and they're playing for a national championship on Monday. What about that? This has been a team that a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, have doubted, including myself. I think you guys know this if you've been watching the channel for a while. I am not scared and I'm most certainly not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. And guess what? I couldn't have been any more wrong about this Washington football team. They've proved me wrong all season long. And we got some stuff to talk about involving this Washington team right before their matchup against Michigan. I'm excited to get into this video, and also one other thing, and this is a very minor topic we had to take a look at, is y'all know Evan Stewart, right? He is arguably the best, not even arguably, what am I saying? He is the best wide receiver in the transfer portal. Well, he just exposed the truth about their medical staff. Yes, that's right, you heard me correctly. Not the football team, not the coaches, but the medical staff. Interesting, to say the least. I had a few people send me that on Twitter, so we're going to take a look at that, but for 98% of this video, it's going to be strictly about Washington. So strap in, buckle up, get you a snack, get you a popcorn, get you your favorite meal you like to eat when you watch a video, but alright, Matt, blah, 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 shut the crap up, now, without further ado, let's get into it. Hold on. I gotta bring this up. So I quote tweeted something on Twitter. It was that meme where that guy wound up tackling somebody, and I said, hey, I know a 5-star linebacker when I see one. And what I said has nothing to do with it. It has zero importance on the situation I'm about to show you next. Well, I'm looking at some of the replies, and I see this guy right here, John Ricks. He stated, that's Matt be great to the Alabama center. Normal comment, all fun and jokes, but then I take a look at his username. Do y'all see that? Buddy, why is your at Matt B. Bald? It's one thing to call me Matt B. Bald, but having your username on Twitter as Matt B. Bald is a whole nother level of crazy. Get the F out of here. That's messed up, and I had to share it with y'all because I don't want to see no more Matt B. Bald usernames. None of it. Continuing along here, talking about football, take a look at this. The top wide receiver in the transfer portal, former 5-star recruit Evan Stewart, tweeted this out a couple of days ago. Wherever I go, I just hope the training staff can tell me the actual diagnosis of my injuries for my physical and mental health. Yeah, you see it right there. That didn't just raise my eyebrow, but I think it raised a lot of eyebrows across the country. To sum this up here, he is pretty much saying that the training staff at Texas A&M, they did him wrong, and he's throwing some shade at them. And that's all we know about this, what he tweeted out right here, because I haven't heard anybody say anything about this. I will say this, though. I talked to a lot of these guys in the college football world, and some of the stories and some of the things that go on behind the scenes, I think they'd shock a lot of you guys as well. I'll leave it at this because a lot of these conversations are personal and they don't want me sharing these stories. There is a lot of shady stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and it's not all rainbows and butterflies and sunshine, however that saying goes. If you guys know anything about this, please let me know in the comment section, and if we do gain some more information, we'll talk more about this in the upcoming days. But for now, at least, we gotta get a move on to the main topic of the main encore, main reason you clicked onto this video. What in the world is going on with the Washington Huskies? Well, first things first, clap it up to the Washington football team, the fan base, and the entire program for making the national championship. I know they're not going to be satisfied with just getting there because you want to win it, but just to get there, that's a heck of an achievement, and not too many people, not too many teams can say they played for a championship. They've had an unreal season up until this point. They're 14-0, enough said. They beat a team in which a lot of people thought was better than them, not once, but twice in Oregon. And all throughout the year, like I said in the intro, Washington has proved me wrong week in and week out. I remember stating it at the beginning of the year. I thought they were going to be a really good and a really solid team, but I didn't think they were great. I didn't think they were elite. I didn't view them as a real deal championship contender, and man, oh man, I was wrong. And let me make this clear. I don't think Washington is a Cinderella story like TCU. No. These guys are legit. This is not some fluky Cinderella run. They deserve to be there. When I watch this team play, especially in the past couple of weeks, I'm like, oh yeah, They're up there with the big dogs. I never really felt that with TCU, even though they beat Michigan. I felt like Michigan gave that game away, but different story, different conversation for a different day. And I'll tell you this much, although I have been one of their biggest critics, after the second time they played Oregon, or not even after it, but during the second or third quarter, that's when I realized they were way better than what I thought. I thought that first win against Oregon, it was somewhat fluky, and even after that, they struggled with teams here and there. But during that second game against Oregon, that's when I realized they not only play down to a competition, but they also play up to it. And I even saw a bunch of Washington fans saying this in the YouTube comment section. Man, I hate how we play every team close, and I hate no matter how much we're up by in the fourth quarter, we let teams sneak back into it. You don't want to see that. Even their own fan base has stated it, but rather less, they've won all their games. And I'm going to pull it up to you right here. I'm going to show you their entire schedule, and we're going to take a look at it. We'll start with week 5 here, because their first 4 weeks, they didn't play any competition. In week 5, they beat what, at the time, we didn't really know was a really good Arizona football team. But you'll notice they only beat them by 7 points. Then after that, they proceed to beat Oregon 36-33. After that, they struggled. Woo, man, I remember this game. They really struggled in this one. They was trailing in the fourth quarter 7-6, and they didn't even score an offensive touchdown. They sneaked by a pitiful and really embarrassing Arizona State team 15-7. That one was bad. And then they also struggled with a terrible Stanford team 42-33. They had another test though against USC, and USC, as we all know, they were disappointing, but they won 52-42. After that, they followed up with a decent 7-point win over Utah. They didn't play DJ Ugabaduga in Oregon State and win that game by 2 points. Following that, rival week, they beat their rival Washington State by a field goal. And I remember that one play late in the fourth quarter where their head coach decided to go for it in their own territory, and that's what won the ball game. Following that up, they beat Oregon for the second time by 3 points. And as we all know, they completely just straight up beat Texas from start to finish, 37-31. Yeah, it was close at the end, but if you watch that game, they controlled it from the start. Let's count them here. How many one-score ball games is that? 1, 2, 3. I guess we can't count the Stanford one as a one-score because they won by 9. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 one-score games this year. What about that? Keep in mind, a couple of those one-score games were against teams that had no business even being in the game. With all that being said, against Texas, I think Washington, and more importantly, Michael Penix Jr., put the rest of the country on notice. Not too many people was picking Washington to win this game, including myself. I picked Texas to win. And of course, hindsight's 2020, but if you were to tell me Penix Jr. was going to play the way he did before the game, ain't no way I would have picked Texas to win. I still, after watching film on this game, cannot believe and fathom that Penix Jr. threw for 430 yards against that Texas defense. That Texas defense was legit. In my opinion, they were a top 10 defense in the nation. And Penix Jr. said, I don't care what you think, Matt. I'm giving them a 400 bomb. How about that? It was ridiculous, and what had me in awe was how effortless it looked to him. Penix Jr. is just flinging the ball up, and no matter if it was a 5-yard throw or a 60-yard throw, on the money, dropped it in the bucket every single time. And maybe he just had the game of his life, and he'll never play that good again against Michigan. He'll wet the bed, but for that Texas game at least, he was remarkable. That game alone had me thinking that, wait a minute, hold on. Is this guy a first-round pick? It's one thing to do it against Texas, okay? That's awesome. That's amazing. But if he can do it again against that real deal, serious, big-time Michigan defense, we'll have a pretty good conversation on our hands here. He throws a really pretty ball, and if you haven't seen him play this year, please, I am begging you, tune in to the national championship. And here's what I really want to talk about, and it's the main focal point of me making this video. I thought the only way Washington was even going to have a chance in this ball game is if Dylan Johnson rushed for, at bare minimum, 150 yards. I thought there was no way that Washington not just could win the game, but I'm talking about I thought there was no way they could even compete in the game if Michael Penix Jr. didn't get help from his rushing attack. I didn't think it was possible because you did not want that Texas front seven to pin their ears back and have a field day and just rush the passer nonstop like they did against Alabama early on in the season. And I stated this and I was standing 10 toes down on it. I thought Texas had the best front seven out of any playoff team. I did, and yeah, that Washington offensive line of Michael Penix Jr. ate them up. And here's my thing. Michael Penix Jr. had zero help in this game whatsoever. They only had 31 carries for 102 yards. So now what this tells me is Washington can beat Michigan the same way. And I have a hard time believing that Michigan's going to hold them to 102 yards. I just don't see it happening. I'm not saying Washington's going to run for 200 yards, but I'm almost willing to bet anything they get over 102 yards. And it's a scary matchup for Michigan because if Dylan Johnson can get going, that just opens up the field even more for Michael Penix Jr. and all those amazing wide receivers. Don't even get me started on those 3 wide receivers that Washington's got. They got arguably the best wide receiver core in the nation. Odunze and Polk, man, they're hard to stop. You're going to have 2 lockdown, I'm talking about lockdown corners on these guys at all times. And even at that, it still might not be good enough. Something's got to give, though. Either that Michigan defense is going to get sliced and diced up, or that Michigan defense is going to stop Michael Penix Jr. I'm not comparing these teams, but I'm getting 2019 LSU vibes from Washington. And what I mean by that is, their defense ain't the greatest, but it doesn't matter. They're going to try to outscore you. And here's something for your train of thought. There's been a lot of narratives going around social media that a lot of your Heisman voters never even saw Penix play this year until the game against Texas. Why are people saying that? Because everyone on social media is like, holy crap, this guy can actually play football. What do y'all think about that? You think a lot of these Heisman voters weren't really focusing on Michael Penix Jr.? Let me know down below. I'll leave it at this. Washington is one of the most interesting teams that's played in the national championship in a very long time. It's not your typical Alabama or Georgia, and both of these teams, they're not familiar with national championship games, at least recently. So at least we got a new matchup to look forward there, and oh yeah, by the way, I am going to be previewing and predicting this game. I'll do it in the up-and-coming days, so stay tuned for that. I'm curious though. Let me know your thoughts on all this down below, but Romany!